Good evening and hello everyone and happy 4th of July to everyone out in the US. Hope you're having a wonderful day and the festivities just carry on forever. Tonight my guest is MJ Dixon. Hi MJ, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Cool, it's so nice to see you. Yeah,
Likewise.
I haven't seen you since Chapter Mallet and my gosh, that was
Oh,
an awesome night.
that was amazing. I had such a blast. 4 days in Shepton Mallet was incredible.
Yeah,
Very
I did
cool.
too and that was amazing. And like the sort of the activity which was coming through was brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I had a couple of terrifying experiences
Wow,
over
awesome.
the couple of days that you guys were with us, actually. Yeah, it was really intense. It's a fantastic location and it's
It is.
absolutely massive. So definitely moved up on my watch list to do another investigation there very soon.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back because I spoke to a prisoner at the end, and my gosh, the information I got from him was special. And
Yeah.
if I keep persisting, I'll actually find out who that is. But I've got to watch
Okay.
it because it was quite recent, and his family
Yeah,
will still be around, and the victim's family will be around. So it's
absolutely.
kind of a special one, isn't it?
I picked up on a few very recent
I
deaths. I think one of them was around 2012,
Oh,
2013. So,
ouch. Yeah,
very recent.
that's too raw. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely one of the most incredible places I've ever investigated. But yeah,
Yeah.
hi everybody. Hi Sylvia. Hi
Hi.
Lee. Hi Liz. Hi everyone.
It's got so much going for it, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely does. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we actually investigated for 4 days prior to Shepton Mallet. We were at the
Of course
Skirret
she did. Yeah.
And so we did 4 days with myself, my Sage team, and one of our friends from Holland, Elizabeth, as well as Richard Estep, the author. And we ended up spending 4 nights investigating Skirret Inn, which was really special.
Wow.
We had full sentence EVPs. We
Oh my
actually
gosh.
captured a full bodied apparition on camera. It was amazing.
Wow.
And then we followed that with the 4 nights at Shepton Mallet. And this was all for Richard Estep's book. And it's coming out, should be this month, maybe next month. We should have the book.
Oh, I want it for the Paracon.
I don't know if it'll be ready
Oh
by then. I
no.
really hope it is, because I've read some of the first draft and everything that he wrote about the Skirret. I haven't read anything that he's written about Shepton. I'm a little bit worried, to be fair, because
Yeah.
Richard records everything. So it doesn't matter, if you're investigating or taking a coffee break, his recorders are running all the time. And if you
Yeah.
say something inappropriate, it ends up in the book. So you have to be so careful. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's Spirits Behind Bars. And that's kind of a play on words with behind the pub bar and behind jail bars as well. It's very cool.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, both fantastic locations. I've been to both of them with you as well. And we've got
Yeah.
Karen A. Dolman watching as well. And shit.
Karen! Hi, Jane. Hi, Mara. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Eileen. Oh my gosh, thanks for
Yeah.
being here,
Can't
guys.
wait to see Karen and everyone in wow, very soon.
I know, just over a week, and we are at Coombe Abbey Hotel for Sage Paracon. It is the 5th year. I am
Oh
so
my god.
excited. Honestly, this is going to be probably my favorite Sage Paracon, and it's purely because all of our speakers were all of the Sage Paracon fan favorites from every year. I mean, we'd love to have every speaker back, but we couldn't bring all of them. So we've
Yeah.
picked, well, you guys actually picked your top speakers that you wanted there, and we're bringing them back. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
going to be
excited.
awesome.
Shenanigans.
It's fantastic. So I think most of everyone watching, I think, knows you. But if anybody does tune in and doesn't know who MJ Dixon is, can you tell us a little about yourself when you first encountered spirit?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Where to start? So I am a 5th generation crazy lady. My entire family are all psychic mediums, all the females in our family. So I've pretty much grown up with the paranormal. And it's funny because I say that and people go, oh, yeah, here's another one. Until they meet my mom and they're like, oh my God, yeah, literally, you have grown up with this. So I wanted to make sure that the voices in my head weren't, me going crazy. And so I started getting into researching the paranormal at quite a young age. And I kind of did it for myself for a really long time. I grew up in South Africa, and it's something you don't really talk about in public. I mean, you'll get
No.
burnt at the stake in South Africa. You just don't talk about anything witchy or paranormal. And, from there, I started delving into, well, why? How do these things happen? How do they record these voices on TV? And, I wanted to know more about it. So I started investigating um, over 10 years ago. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since. But I have done television. I was on Paranormal Captured, Most Terrifying Places, but I actually produce television and
Yeah.
direct some. So I've worked on loads of shows like Destination Fear, Paranormal Lockdown, Hotel Paranormal, In Search of the Paranormal. I forget all the other shows I've done.
Yeah. Loads, yeah.
There's a list. Like, go on Discovery Plus. I've worked on most of them.
Oh wow. That's so awesome. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Actually, 3 years ago today, I was running around Warwick Castle like an absolute crazy person, filming
Oh,
Most Terrifying Places. So that was fun. Hi, Joy.
that's brilliant. Yeah, because I kind of forget, like, it's Sage Paragon, but it's summer. It's usually
I
like
know.
November time, isn't it?
I
So it's
know.
like
We
kind of crazy.
we always did Sage Paracon at the end of the year, purely because if you look at the convention circuit around the world, most conventions are in the summer. So they start, around April, you'll start having more conventions and they'll go right through until like August, September. So I was always like, well, there's nothing, because then October's like silly month,
Yeah. Cool
just
month.
chaos.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, let's do it in November. And we always did a winter sage Paracon. So this is the first year that we're doing it in summer. I am so confused. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it. I'm just like, it's like in a week. And it's nice outside. So I'm really confused, but I am thrilled that we're gonna be together with the Sage Tribe,
Oh God, it's
all
going to
back
be
at
so
Coombe Abbey.
nice.
It's gonna be
And
fantastic. We've
just
got
to
a lot
meet
going on.
everyone again.
Yes.
It's wonderful, isn't it? And you just can't believe that these two years have just flown by,
I know. Honestly, the thing is, I filmed like 8 TV shows in
Oh my God.
2 years because television could carry on through lockdown.
Of course it could, yeah.
So we were just nonstop filming. It
Wow.
was crazy. I was doing, at one point, I was working on Paranormal Captured season 2. We were filming in a couple of weeks for that. I was filming. Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't Paranormal Capture season 2. It was the winter special that we had done at Budman Jail and Jamaica Inn. And so we were doing that filming. I was actually
Oh,
at Budman Jail for a week filming In Search of the Paranormal, and then at the same time I was producing another show, Hotel Paranormal. So it was
oh my
like
gosh.
3 TV shows at the same time. So I didn't feel locked down. I didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
it was nice to have a break from events. But yeah, it was crazy.
Oh wow. That's just so awesome. Hi Louisa.
Hi.
Thanks everyone for joining us. If you have any questions for MJ, please add them to the live chat. And yeah,
Please
see how we go.
share this and tell everybody. Hi, everyone. Hi, Terry. Hey, Vaughn.
So, okay, like you've been around the world.
Yes.
What's your best US location?
Belgrove Plantation.
Right, okay. That's where you
Honestly,
did the Paragon.
I fell in love with Belgrove Plantation in King George, Virginia. It's a really old plantation. The house is built in the 1700s, and it's just phenomenal. It's built on the grounds of the Rappahannock tribe, the Indian tribe on the Rappahannock
Wow.
on the river. It's just, hey, there's Ronnie, Belgrove Plantation. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
so it's just the most beautiful, beautiful house. And Michelle and Brett and Tyler that have the house, they're the loveliest people. I call them my Virginia family, and that
Oh, wow.
includes the guys from FPRI and Middletown Paranormal. I love the guys out there. They've become such good friends of mine, and
That's lovely.
Belgrove itself has so many layers of history. It was the birthplace of President James Madison.
Wow.
So it's very, very cool. There's just so
Yeah,
much going on there.
definitely.
But the EVPs and the activity there is off the charts. I
Wow.
have never had a bad experience there. It's a lovely haunting, if you want to put it that way.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
They're all
they're
friendly.
Yeah, it is. It's really funny. They're
Yeah.
very conversational. Actually, while we were there in May, because I host Sage Paracon USA over there,
Yeah.
and we had such a fantastic event. But I spent an extra week investigating day and night, and it was absolutely awesome. And I actually have two EVPs of a cat meowing.
Awesome.
It's very cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, any other places in the US you like,
Oh man. Oh my gosh.
Robert?
I just recently did St. Albans Sanitarium while I was
Okay.
out there. That was really creepy. It was really creepy. It's a very scary sanitarium. Um, but the EVPs and things, again, they were just phenomenal. I mean, at one point we were down in the isolation rooms, which is
Oh,
where they used to keep all the alcoholics and drug addicts and that sort of
oh
thing.
gosh.
They've got these cells, the isolation cells. And so we
Okay.
were sitting down there, and we'd put a REM pod at the base of the stairs, and we're setting up, getting ready to do EVP and stuff. And we heard what sounded like footsteps coming down the stairs. And John from Fredericksburg Paranormal kind of goes, well, hello. And then the REM pod at the base of the stairs triggers. So we're like, oh, okay. So he says, I thought we would just come out and join you down here in isolation room. And there's a class A EVP of a male voice saying, it's my room. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
crystal clear. It actually gives me chills just thinking of it. It was
Yeah.
really awesome. Very, very cool place. At one point, Tyler heard footsteps run up behind him. Tyler's from Covert Paranormal, very cool guy. He heard these footsteps run up behind him. And so he kind of turned around and he was like, are you behind me? And when we played the recording back, you hear, I'm behind you.
Oh my
And
God.
it was creepy as
Absolutely awesome. Does
very
that
cool place.
does that affect you though? Like, are you're empathic and you're sort of picking up?
Yeah, it was really
Oh,
difficult
it's a bit
doing the
hard.
asylum, purely because there was a lady who was repeatedly raped, and it's a very
Oh
dark thing,
gosh. Right.
really
Yeah.
traumatic experience. And she lost a child. And the story goes that she actually hid the dead baby in her room.
Oh
It's
God.
very, very sad. It's such a heartbreaking story. And being up in that room, that area, she eventually committed suicide. And being in that area was just overwhelming.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It was really hard, especially as a psychic medium where you're hearing her cry and other people in the room are going, hey, should we do EVP? And you're like, oh,
Oh
it's
no.
it was really harsh, but an interesting place to experience.
Yeah. But it's interesting, like if you can communicate, because it might help her in some way. The
Absolutely, yeah,
fact that you're listening to her.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes they literally just want their story told. So
Yeah. That's right.
we all need somebody to talk to. When
Yeah.
we're down and we're depressed and we're going through something really crap, our first instinct is to turn to a family member or turn to a friend. Well, most of us anyway. And if you
Yeah.
are battling and you feel like you're on your own, you should be turning to somebody around you for that support. We have these support systems. And if you
Yeah.
just imagine like they're in that headspace and they're trapped in that moment, they could use a friend. They could use somebody just to listen. And sometimes that's all they need.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be an amazing location.
It's
So
great.
UK wise then, location, what's your favourite?
Wow. Can
It's a
I
hard
give
one,
you top
isn't it?
five? I give you top five. Top
Yeah. Is
five.
Draco in there?
Oh my gosh. Yes, Draco,
Oh,
hands down in there. Draco
yeah.
will always hold a very special place in my heart.
Oh,
Jail. I love Budman Jail, and Kirsten, who runs the paranormal evenings there, paranormal manageress. Kirsten is just an absolute sweetheart.
wow.
I have a lot of time for her. She's so good at what she does. And the building responds to her. The jail, it just knows her. And
Yeah.
when you investigate then, especially if Kirsten's around, I always have her join us because they're just so familiar with her and she's so lovely.
Yeah.
So you always get really good activity, really interesting responses. And sometimes they kind of take the mick out of you as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, other locations, the Skirrid Inn. Skirrid, I
Oh,
have been investigating for over a decade. I love
wow.
the Skirrid so much. We actually we caught a really cool EVP there with Richard Estep. Um, we were doing sort of a human pendulum experiment, and Corin from Sage, Corin Gretton
Yeah.
West, she was the human pendulum, and we were like asking questions and seeing how she would respond and that sort of thing. And it was almost like somebody was pacing around us, getting really annoyed, this guy. And I said to Richard, I was like, oh, we're our laughter and everything is really ticking somebody off here. And when we played the recording back, you hear it crystal clear. Thank God my friends act normal. Full sentence. Full sentence. I am not even kidding. It is a full sentence. I'll have
Oh
to
my
share it on
gosh.
social media at some point. But
Awesome.
you hear, thank God my friends act normal. And then Richard was like, oh, that's one of us because it's that loud. And I
Yeah.
was like, no one said that. So because he's recording all the time for his book, we grabbed his recorder and we played it back and there was nothing. And the recorders were right next to each other on the table. So it's on my recorder, not on his. And it's
Yeah.
like we're talking. It is that loud. It's unreal, honestly.
Yeah, we did a similar experiment when I was there at Screwed with you. Put a
Yes.
few voice recorders down and
Yeah.
one was picking up and the rest weren't, were they?
Yeah. It's such
But
a great way of doing it as well. And
yeah,
also
it
using
is.
Ouija boards and recorders is great.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
even
And the REM pod went crazy in the bathroom that night as well.
yep.
It was
Yeah,
just, I
I
thought it's
love
broken. It's really weird that was.
And it's funny because sometimes you will put things in that area and nothing happens. Nothing at all. And that's just how it is. We can't predict these things.
Yeah.
But Skirrid's like really high on my list as well. Warwick Castle. Oh my God, I love
Yeah.
Warwick Castle. I am
Beautiful.
there in like 2 weeks. I can't
Oh
wait.
no.
And there's like 13, maybe 14 of us. It's a private
Awesome.
investigation. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I bet. Yeah, because I did work with you as well. And
Yeah.
I actually captured a photo of something, I
Yeah, it was
believe.
really cool. I remember.
I can't, I still haven't ruled it out.
Yeah.
I still don't know.
Mhm.
I took 3 photos and one had something on it. What can you do?
Yeah, I remember that. It's
And
very
you saw all
interesting.
the data with it as well. And yeah,
Yeah.
but hey ho.
Oh my gosh. So hi everybody who's just joined. Hey Lee. Hi everyone. It's so difficult choosing. Yeah, you're right, Lee. Like, oh my
I
gosh.
know it's quite a question, isn't it? Ask MJ. So if anyone's got any better questions than that, just add them to the chat.
Yes, ask me questions. Terry says, MJ, you have well come out of your shell since Paracon and Derby years ago. Yes. Oh my gosh. Do you know what? That was my first convention that I
Oh
spoke at.
wow.
It was my first like proper convention. I'd done small talks, but this was
Yeah.
like this is a convention. And I was so nervous,
Oh
and
bless you.
I was trying to figure things out, and I was still trying to be like quite quiet in the paranormal field and like suss out the situation,
Yeah.
and then after that I was like, do you know what? I love that. Like, let's do more. And
Yeah.
then I traveled the world attending conventions, and
Yeah.
now I host them.
Yeah. It was at Derby Jail, wasn't it?
No, it was at the Derby
Oh.
Conference Centre.
Oh, Derby Conference Centre.
Terry, it's been
Wow.
that long since I've seen you. Well, good Lord. That's a very long time ago.
Terry'll have to come to Sage. Tickets are
Yes.
available.
Hi, Lynn.
Yeah. So, Coombe Abbey, what a location.
Oh my goodness. I mean, let's get real here. It is like 10:53, I think.
Yeah.
Is it
Oh,
10:53 or 10:56? I mean, how many centuries of just layers and layers of history?
yeah.
Really cool. So, I mean, there's stories of a murdered monk. There's a really cool story about David Bowie, but I'm not going to spoil that because people who are coming to Sage Paracon will hear the story. There was a monk that was murdered there. It was also the childhood home of Queen Elizabeth. When she was a child, they were trying to abduct her for the gunpowder plot.
Wow.
All that, and that all went down at Coombe Abbey. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's
It's
fantastic.
funny because I say to Americans, I'm always like, they're like, "Oh, what's the oldest building you investigate?" I'm like, Coombe Abbey is like older than America. Like, it's older than your country. It's older than South Africa.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
It's brilliant, isn't it? So I've got a brilliant question here from Karen. Thanks, Karen. On any of your investigations, have you ever encountered a being that was not human in origination? If so, what?
Yes, I have definitely encountered so many elementals over the years. Now, elementals are born of earth energy. You find them a lot of the time when there's any sort of witchcraft and pagan practices. Because I mean, we call on elementals and things to help us with our witchy work.
Oh,
Um, but also they generally protect, areas or water sources or all sorts of things. And I've come across some really interesting elemental creatures. I've also come across a few things that, I mean, I don't, they're not human, but I don't really know what they are. Um, yeah.
you
And
just want to put them into a category, don't you?
you do. And you know what? We're so wrong for doing that. We just go, oh, it's a ghost. And
Yeah.
I think it's so bad to put things in these little boxes so that we can try and understand them. I mean, if you think of it, look at Coombe Abbey, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Centuries of history. What if somebody is haunting that place that is from the 1100s or 1200s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that spirit has seen the world evolve. They have centuries of knowledge and understanding around them. So you're going, oh my God, it's the ghost of a guy. Well, that being is so evolved. And then you have people that go to these investigations and go, what color t-shirt am I wearing?
Yeah.
Like, you could ask any about the universe and how things work and the other side and have a really in-depth conversation, and all you're worried about is what color t-shirt you're wearing. Guaranteed it's black and 3 sizes too small.
Yeah.
You're a paranormal investigator. But
That is the problem though. At events, people tend to ask the same questions.
yeah,
And they just don't know how to get away from this set
yeah,
script. Most
actually,
of the public events and everything, you come out with it, it's
yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking of this, talking of elementals. I had a really cool experience with an elemental at Belgrove Plantation. I was outside and I could hear, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear this humming, like men humming as they worked. So I was determined to try and record this. Like, I was hearing this audibly. This wasn't
wow.
mediumship. This was, you could hear it, like
Oh my
in the
gosh.
tree line in the woods next to the house. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So every night I went out trying to debunk this. I was like, maybe it's bullfrogs, maybe it's an
Yeah.
animal, maybe it's, who knows? We've got to try and debunk it.
Yeah.
And so I went out there with Elizabeth the one night, and she
Oh.
heard it, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about. This is weird humming. And then Carl heard it on the other evening, and I was just like, oh my God, there's just something weird going on here. So Tyler and I went to the woodline to go and try and debunk this. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, I pick up on this weird elemental creature walking towards me, that it walked like right up. And I didn't know
Oh
what to do.
gosh.
Kind of
Yeah.
just stood there and I froze. And I was recording at the time. And I froze and I was like, okay, I don't know how this thing's going to react. So we're just going to take 2 steps backwards. We're going to turn around and walk away very calmly because
Hmm.
I don't know how to deal with this one. This is kind of creepy. And yes, Karen, Dogman, the only way to describe it was like this.
Oh wow.
It almost looked like a werewolf. It's the only way I can describe it. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And so I was stood there and I realized that it couldn't really see properly. Like it relied on smell. It kept
Oh
sniffing.
okay.
And I've never come across that. So I was stood there and I was, as I say, recording, and I heard this thing just take a really deep sniff. And I
Oh.
was like, ew, it's weird. And so I said to Tyler, I was like, let's just back away and walk away. When we played the recording back, you hear it on the recorder. Like
Oh
3
wow.
times you hear this, and you hear it like on the recorder, and you hear me go, what the hell was that? Oh, let's just back away. And then you hear us turn and walk, and you hear our 2 sets of footsteps, but then you hear footsteps behind us. Yeah, very cool. All
Wow.
recorded. I am like, it was
Absolutely
awesome.
awesome. To get it recorded as well.
Yeah,
I didn't get
exactly.
anything recorded because I'm so busy like doing something.
I
A
record
voice
everything now.
recorder, I don't know, shout to Mallet, my voice recorder just decided to die on me for some reason. I don't know what was going on.
Oh my
I
gosh.
even had a little old-fashioned dictaphone, the tape one. Even that
Oh,
was playing up at one stage. But
well,
yeah,
Karen and Alex tried theirs and it wouldn't work at Shepton either.
yeah, like I
Really
got a few
fascinating.
things out and the batteries were just like not working. It's like pain in the yeah. Hey ho. Got a quick question here.
Yes,
Did you get any more of a butterscotch drink before you left Belgrove?
I did. I got one more shot. One. That's all
Did
you
it wipe
shared
you
with
out?
me. One. So I need to get more, Ronnie.
Sounds
So
good.
Mandy, you had a question
Yeah,
I thought earlier.
got a
Yeah.
question
Cool.
here.
Have you
If
ever
you
had an experience at a location and it was so bad that you could not stay or haven't returned since?
good
Okay.
question.
Drakelow Tunnels. Yes. Drakelow Tunnels, my first experience there, scared the hell out of me. It was the first time that something or someone tried to, I don't know, channel through me, but I started blacking out and I don't
Oh,
remember a lot of it. And that frightened the hell out of me. It made me realize how close something can actually get. We need to protect ourselves more. So it was really terrifying. It took me a good 5-6 years to return to Drakelow Tunnels after that. And then it became like
gosh.
one of my favorite places because I understood
Yeah.
what the experience was. I learned from it. I learned better protection. I learned a lot more, obviously researching all the time and with experience. But yeah, it is a shame it's unavailable to investigate it now because that was hands down my favorite place in the world. Yeah.
Hey, Tyler.
That was terrifying. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Hey, Tyler is here. Tyler from Covert Paranormal and Belgrove Plantation. Hello. Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, Draco, it was special, wasn't it? It really was.
Really was special.
Yeah. And it's just
Okay.
placed in the Cold War and everything, wasn't it? And car manufacturers and
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
It was built in the 1940s, and it was a shadow factory for them to continue manufacturing airplanes and trucks and all sorts of things. And in case they were bombed, they could continue the manufacturing. And then after that, it was used as a nuclear bunker, and it shut down in the 90s, I think. It shut down completely, and then it was taken over by Sid and them, and used for airsoft and all of that sort of thing. And he had so many paranormal experiences that he opened it up for people to investigate.
Yeah.
I think one of my creepiest there, one of the guys who volunteered there, Mike, said that he had a delivery that was arriving in the yard, and the guy who was delivering whatever it was asked him if he could kind of peek his head into the tunnels to just take a look around. And Mike was like, yeah, the beginning of the tunnel's got a little bit of light where the doors open, so just don't wander off because you'll get lost. And a few minutes later, the guy came out and he was like, oh, it's really, really cool. Is that your daughter? And Mike went, what do you mean? He goes, the little girl sitting on the chair by the entrance. Is that your
Oh my
daughter?
God.
And he was like, there's no kids here. So I'd heard that story and I was like, ew. Nope. Like, I don't like kids, dead or alive.
Yeah.
I don't like children. Anyone that knows me knows that.
Yeah, I'm not good in that way.
I'm not child friendly. And we were doing an investigation there, and I left a recorder running in the hospital, in the medical bit. And Carl was sat in there really quietly. And again, you leave 2 recorders, just in case. And on one of the recorders, you hear a child. It sounds like a little girl going, Mom, Mom, Mom.
Oh,
Creepy as hell. There's no kids there. Like,
that's
what's
cool.
happening to the child?
I think it was so cool when we were down Drakelow and you got your guitar out and just sat there, and an entity got so close to you.
Yeah, I love doing that. That all started when, were you with us when we did the investigation and we played Vera Lynn through the tunnel system, and we stopped the music and we carried on recording, and we had a Class A EVP of a guy's voice saying, I like that.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. I was like, this poor guy's just in these dark tunnels. And, he just misses music. He just wants something from the outside world.
Oh, it's awesome. It really was. Yeah, just do something like that.
Yeah, so I took my guitar every time after that and I played a gig for them. I do it at the Skirrid Inn as well. I play a gig in the bar and put REM pods everywhere. And I've actually decided that I want the ghosts to help me write a song. So they need to give me the lyrics and the chords to play through Spirit Box or
Oh,
EVP,
lovely.
and I'm going to write the song and then we're going to play it for them.
Oh, that's so brilliant.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've got another question here from Sylvia. And I met Sylvia. Oh, at Shepton Mallet. So cool. What place is on your list that you would like to investigate, MJ?
How much time do you have? Waverly Hills Sanitarium.
Oh God, yeah. Have you been?
I haven't.
Wow.
I haven't. I really want to. Sweet Springs Sanitarium. I really want to do that. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Like 90% of America. Where else? I mean, I've done Poveglia Island twice.
Oh yeah, I know. That looked really interesting.
Actually, it was pretty boring.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna lie. No, it was really not that active. Everybody always goes, "Oh, Poveglia, Ghost Adventure. Zach was possessed again." So I mean, it's very cool to visit.
Yeah.
They actually grow grapes there now. It's a vineyard. So which is kind of weird because like 80% of Poveglia is human ash. So the wine is a bit questionable.
Different flavor.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
No.
There's actually another island. Now, Poveglia is completely off limits. You cannot get on the island at all. It's completely illegal. It's privately owned. So there's another island called San Servolo. and it's about 15 minutes by vaporetta or water taxi, water boat, from Venice. And it still has the asylum standing. So you can
Wow.
walk through. It's actually a museum, and it's
Oh,
really
cool.
cool. Like they still have all the torture devices. They still
Oh,
have
gosh.
everything in there.
My God.
So it's very, very cool. And I found that to be a whole lot more active than Poveglia. And you can go and book a tour for like $5.
Yeah, that's it. Getting on
Yeah.
the island must be hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you organised it, so yeah, you know.
Yeah. That was not easy. It took me like 2 years to be able to get on there. And
Oh my
then that
gosh,
was still
yeah.
like pretty questionable as well.
Oh, bless you. I've got a question here then from Robert Bradley. Have you ever ran across occult books that were haunted and had spirits attached to them?
Yes, actually, I have. Not one that I've owned personally. A friend of mine had a very witchy grimoire, and it was very haunted. I actually have a haunted Bible, which you would
Oh,
never
wow.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an old Victorian prayer book that has some funky energy. It's really weird. Every time a psychic medium goes near it, they hear counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh,
6, 7, 8, 9,
wow.
10. We don't know what it is. And I've done some EVP work with it. I've done, so many different experiments with SLS and all sorts, and thermal cameras and all sorts of things. And I never really get much. But we took it to Bodmin jail. That was probably a bad idea. Um, it's the fastest I've ever seen a REM pod drain from full battery.
Oh,
It
my
went
gosh.
mental. It sounded like it was going to explode, and it just drained the whole battery literally in 5 minutes.
Oh, my gosh.
Um, and we had some really weird EVPs from that. I don't think
Oh,
the Bible liked being in the jail.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
very weird.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, Andy then. Andy wants to know, have you ever had a spirit latch on to you or follow you around a venue?
plenty. Yeah, actually, I've had that happen a few times. Um, Drakelow Tunnels, again, we were filming our show called In Search of the Paranormal, which you guys can find that on YouTube. We spent a week in each location filming, and we broke it down into 4 episodes. So it was, a full-on week of doing reenactments for the history and interviews during the day and investigating at night. And so when you're on camera the whole time, like you need a little makeup hair station. So we set up a tent inside Drakelow Tunnels in the entrance.
Oh, gosh.
And I had a little table in there with a little round mirror that big. It's got a plastic frame around it. And it was lying flat on the table behind me. And I just like refreshed makeup and hair and everything. It's like, right, guys, let's get ready to do the next interviews. And I was sat there having a cup of coffee. No one was moving. And this mirror launched off the table and hit me in my back. And I was like,
Okay.
what the hell? Anyway, we finished filming and everything. And about 2 weeks later, there was just something not right in my house. And my mom woke up. The mirror was in her room. And she woke up with a woman shouting at her saying, turn the mirror around.
Okay.
She woke up and she was like, what? And she heard it again. And so she got up and she turned the mirror around and went back to sleep. And that was it. That was just, it was really weird. So I was like, crap, does that mean I've got a haunted mirror now? It was really, really weird. But I did a private house cleansing once. I don't really do a lot of private cases, but this one was down the road from my house.
Okay.
There were kids involved and they were really terrified.
Oh.
And I thought, let's just go and help them out. And I'd done the cleansing. Turns out the house was built on the grounds of an old insane asylum.
Oh,
And
my
they were
gosh.
seeing an apparition of a woman wearing a nightgown, like a hospital gown. And she was really
Oh, wow.
disheveled and she looked really malnutrition and,
Yeah.
malnourished. And it was just a very intense haunting, especially for the kids to be witnessing this creepy lady in their rooms,
Yeah.
And so we did the house cleansing and I got home and I just felt like this sludge, this horrible energy. And I went and I took a nice cleansing shower, salts and everything as well, and cleansed everything up. And I got out the shower and I was in my bedroom busy getting dressed, and I felt my neck start burning really badly, and I had a full human bite mark on my neck.
Oh
Like you
God.
could see each individual tooth mark. I actually have photos of it somewhere. You could see each and every tooth mark on my neck. And then my laptop was open, but it was off. And I caught a glimpse of this apparition of the woman in the hospital gown standing in my bedroom doorway in the reflection.
Oh wow.
So I had to cleanse my house and try and get.
Yeah, definitely. Oh gosh. Don't want
But
her in your house. No
this is
way.
why you cleanse yourself with salts and sage.
Yeah, you've got a good way about how to tell people to protect themselves. I love that. It's so cool. And I'm naughty half the time. I'm really bad at doing anything like this.
But I always tell people. So
It's
most
cool.
people go, you know, I can't envision a white bubble of light around myself. I found it really hard to envision that, and I don't really understand it. Well, if you think about it, you imagining a white light, that's not what's protecting you. It's you're putting out that energy of this is my space, back off. And I tell people, if you can't envision a white light, well, then think of a glow in the dark condom. No,
Describe.
because it's funny. It is hilarious.
Yeah.
So, like glow in the dark condom all the way down. And the reason I say that is because when you're closing your eyes and you're imagining a condom going over your body, over your head, and it's glowing, it's so funny that you raise your vibration. Everybody starts giggling. And I tell people, like, you won't have a one-night stand without a condom because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
pick up an STD or something. So why would you go into a haunted location when you don't know if something's going to attach? It's like a psychic STD,
I know.
you know? So
Yeah, I need to protect
protection
myself.
on. I got strip searched on my way to Virginia to Belgrove Plantation the
Oh
first time I went
God.
over. And I was doing a talk about psychic protection and that sort of thing. And I thought it'd be really funny to take 200 glow-in-the-dark condoms with me to throw at the crowd. And so I had these 2 boxes, 100 condoms in each, glow-in-the-dark condoms, and I got strip searched by TSA. So I get pulled aside. The woman's like, "Do you mind?" I'm like, "Nah." She's like, "My colleague's going to go through your hand luggage."
God.
So funny. So I'm like halfway stripping, and I go, "Oh shit." It's gonna be awkward.
Yeah.
So I told her about it, and this is why I have these 200 condoms in my bag. And we walk out, and she's trying to contain her laugh. We walk out, we're trying to act all serious, and this guy stood there with a box of condoms in each hand, and he's like, "How long did you say you were in America for?" And I was like, 10 days.
Busy.
He was blood red. It was so funny. It was absolutely hysterical. But yeah, so psychic
Wow.
condoms work, guys. Remember your protection when you investigate.
And don't take them through customs.
Yeah, be careful.
Oh no. Okay then. Anthony's got a question.
Sure.
How do you follow that one? Can I ask you guys an intellectual question? Is a person reincarnated, reborn into this world, a spirit, a phantom, or a ghost?
Again, I think we are putting things in little boxes, whether you want to say spirit, phantom, ghost. I do believe that we come back again if we haven't learned the lessons that we've learned in this life.
Yeah.
So think about it. You've gone your whole life with all of these experiences, and given that most people don't remember any of that in their next life, you do have some children that will say things like, "When I used to be big, I was a pilot," and they are obsessed with airplanes.
Yeah.
You do have some instances where memory is retained in the afterlife and into the next life. I don't know what we would call it. I don't call it a phantom,
Yeah.
a spirit, a ghost. again, I just think we're labeling things that's much bigger and much broader than we understand.
Yeah, it's a difficult
Um,
one. I don't like touching fruit because it's sticky on my fingers. Past life regression to 1200s. I was a fruit seller at Nottingham Castle.
see,
There you go.
I hate water. I am absolutely terrified of water. Turns out, past life regression, drowned as a witch.
Wow.
Some things didn't change,
Yeah.
but I'm still here. Um, this
That's
is
cool.
another thing that I was reading up on quite recently as well. I've been doing quite a bit of research into this. So I've been working a lot with Richard Estep,
Yeah.
and we have been doing a lot of psychic remote viewing. So he will investigate
Wow.
in America. He doesn't tell me where he's going. He doesn't post it on social media, nothing at all. And he'll call me up and go, "Hey, are you free to remote in?"
Oh my
He could be in
gosh.
a house, an asylum, a jail, anywhere. No video, just audio. We'll have a Zoom call, and I will give him all of my psychic impressions. And through doing that, it got me down some rabbit holes about like past lives and energy and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it made me think about this. What if we know if somebody, for instance, has a kidney transplant?
Hmm.
Sometimes when people have an organ transplant, they start craving the same food as the person that
Yeah.
the organ from, or they have strange dreams that seem like really vivid memories that could be the organ donor's memories. That's especially with heart
Yeah.
transplants and things like that. So I found that really interesting, and there's a lot of research that has been done on cellular memory. So what if a lot of the memories that people are having that they think are past lives, what if it's passed down like your DNA? Like your
Oh
parents both had
gosh.
brown eyes, but you have blue eyes, but your grandparents all had blue eyes, and it kind of skipped a generation, right? So what if your grandfather was a pilot, and he was a pilot for so many years, and then your mum has you, and you're obsessed with airplanes, and
Wow.
do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like ancestral memory. So what if
Interesting.
that's passed through DNA, like cellular memory is through organ donors? And that isn't that a possibility that some of our past lives that we think are past lives are actually our great grandparents or somebody further down
Gosh.
in our family line that maybe was a practicing witch or pilot or whatever the case is. It's very
It's
interesting.
mad, isn't it? The more you think, your head can just explode, can't you? You just try and go down one route and then oh, wow.
Yeah,
This
I
is
go in
crazy,
rabbit
isn't it?
holes all the time. I love it.
Oh
I
God,
love
I
it.
do. Yeah, I've got crazy things on my past life at the moment. I've got to do
That's
another
so
one just to
good.
find out what on earth's going on. Question here from Karen then.
Okay.
Um, and shit. Have you ever experienced what appears to be an extraterrestrial or ultra-dimensional from another planet or universe?
Extraterrestrial, no. Ultra dimensional, yes. I haven't seen Little Grey Men yet. I'd like to. I'm
Yeah.
like, beam me up, Scotty. I want to know. Um, but I did have an experience where I tapped into a really weird energy, and I kept hearing them talk about the many. And it was almost like a council of higher beings.
Wow.
Don't really know much about it. I'm the wrong person to ask about that, honestly.
Okay.
I don't really have that much experience with it, but it was interesting and something I'm totally open to and I want to know more. So, but
Yes,
yeah,
it's something to do with you and your higher self.
could
It's
be, but
mind blowing, isn't it?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's one of those,
Karen's the
isn't it?
person to ask that
Yeah.
question.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, Karen. Yeah.
he connects in the most
Genius.
incredible
Yeah.
way, and just to I mean so many different dimensions and things that I'm like I need to learn. That's why I attend her talks and
Yeah.
read her books. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
Mind blowing her books are. Yeah.
Mhm.
Does
Oh,
do
and
Does Duncan get bothered by any of your home spirit visitors?
Yes. Actually, not that long ago, I can't even remember. I think it was just I got back from Bodmin, and I had two wonderful gentlemen from Bodmin Jail follow me home. Um, it was a little bit iffy in our house for a while, and Duncan, he's a skeptical believer, right? He has
Yeah.
experienced so many things with me and in our house that he can't deny that there's something else going on. But it takes a hell of a lot for him to go, well, yeah, that's weird. So he's very skeptical. And a few months ago, he was fast asleep. I was downstairs in the living room, and he literally yelled my name so loud. I I didn't know what to think. It was such a like gut wrenching like shout. And I bolted upstairs. I think I did 15 stairs in about 3 steps. I was up my staircase so quickly and burst into our bedroom, and he had a massive red mark on his side of his face. Something had punched him in the head.
Oh
So
gosh.
yeah, that was pretty scary. I was
Yeah.
just like, right, get the sage, get the Palo Santo, we're
Sort it out.
practicing now. That was really creepy. Generally, I don't tell him things because he doesn't want to know
Yeah, I guess. Doesn't want nightmares.
myself. And Karen says that she is going to be doing a talk at Sage Paracon UK all
Yeah.
about connecting with your higher self and spirit guides and interdimensional beings. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
That's
excited.
cool. I'll be there. Well, I'll be there for all the talks. I'll have to be. Yay. I've got an interesting question here then from Anthony Hayes. It's basically if a person's got a gift and it freaks people out
Hmm.
and so people can't understand it,
Yep.
um, it would
Initiating
blow your mind. Would you question everything
everything
you've
you've ever
ever
known.
known? And should you
Would
keep
it
quiet about it?
best? Okay, Anthony. So when I first started developing my mediumship, I mean, I've had experiences since I was 3 or 4 years old. It was my earliest mediumship experiences that I can remember. I kept quiet about my mediumship until like 3 years ago. I mean, I've been investigating for years. It's just, it was never something because I can't explain it. I don't know how I get the information. I don't know
Yeah.
how I can hear them. I cannot tell you scientifically how this is possible, which freaks my brain out because if I can't
Yeah.
explain something to you, then I feel uncomfortable. So I kept quiet about it for a really long time. Close friends and my family knew about it, which made me
Yeah.
laugh because recently, with the work I've been doing with Richard Estep, somebody commented, going, "Oh, all of a sudden she's psychic." And I'm like, "Pating! I just woke up today. I decided to be psychic,
Yeah.
guys." No, it's always been there. Um, but I kept quiet because I was really scared of how people would react, especially being South African and Zimbabwean. We weren't
Oh,
really allowed to speak about it at all. In the
yeah.
UK, it's more widely accepted, and in the States. Um, so, from personal experience, I went from keeping quiet for a really long time. And when my mediumship first started kicking in, I used to have what we call psychic Tourette's, which I still do, but not as bad anymore. I would literally walk up to people and be like, "Hey, by the way, Grandma Joe says hi.
Uh,
Can, can you take her
whoops.
home now?" And I realized that people didn't like that. They didn't respond well to that. So, as a psychic or anyone with any gifts, it is really important that you keep things to yourself unless you can kind of judge the person that you're having the conversation with. If they seem a bit closed off to it, don't go having psychic Tourette's and blurting out, "By the way, your dad says you packed your wedding ring in that cupboard," because it might freak them the hell out. So I always say don't ever read for people unless they've asked you for a reading.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, there are subtle ways to drop in conversations that you're sensitive or whatever the case is. But don't be like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of sensitive and love the paranormal. Hey, by the way, Grandma Joe says hi. They're still not going to accept it.
Yeah.
You know, there's an etiquette when it comes to reading for people.
You
I'm
have
all
such
for
a
reading.
responsibility.
Absolutely.
That
Yes.
that's why that's why I can do readings, but I don't do readings because people cry.
Yeah.
And
I don't.
it's hard. Like there's a couple of times people have been crying and because you've got it the nail on the head and it's like, oh my God. So
Okay, I'm really bad for that. That's why I don't read for people as well, because
yeah.
I'm a super emotional person. I'm
Yeah.
really emotional.
I just think, oh
And
no, you're crying. Stop
yeah,
it.
when somebody else cries, I cry. So I'm like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no, do not, shh. And then I'm like, cry together.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, it's like I just like I've not been doing it long, and I don't say that, but I've been
I
doing
can't even see
development
somebody
about
cry
8
on
years.
TV and I start crying. So
Oh,
reading is,
bless you. Okay, got a good question here from Chris. Have you ever run into a situation where you're using a Ouija board, but the person who you're trying to reach isn't able to read or spell?
yes, absolutely, this has happened. I mean, if you think about it, especially here in the UK, we're dealing with centuries of history, and somebody may not have been quite literate, or it could have been somebody that had absolutely no education whatsoever that you were dealing with. And so sometimes, and also, again, centuries of history. So sometimes it's Old English, and they try spelling something, and then you're sitting there going, yeah, this makes no sense to me. Um, but something really cool that I did have happen during one investigation. Um, we had a group of people on the board. I wasn't. I was kind of overseeing the whole thing, making sure no one's pushing it like, hey, my dead uncle's here, of course. He shows up every time. Um, so I was trying to make sure that it was a legit as can be Ouija board session. And it started spelling out just like gobbledygook. People were like, meh, this makes no
Yeah.
sense. And for some reason, I just went, do you know what? Write everything down. Write it all down, every letter, and let's stick it in Google Translate. Maybe it's a language we don't know. And it turned out
Wow.
to be Basque. And they were answering
Oh
our direct questions in a language that nobody around the board could speak or let alone even knew of.
my gosh.
Very cool. So
As Jeannie's thinking
never
about Googling it, yeah.
yeah. Never discount anything. When you start
Yeah.
getting letters that come through and you don't understand it, it could be, that there's a different language coming through. It could be that it's somebody who maybe can't spell very well. And it happens quite a bit. So
Yeah,
always just take that into consideration.
that's
I
right.
love Ouija boards, by the way. Ouija boards are like one of my favorite things in the world.
Yeah, I've got 4 in my car. They kind of
Just
live in my car.
carry 4 of them in my car. When I
Yeah,
flew to
I don't know
America,
why. I think it's because, like, if I'm going to an investigation, they're in a funny box and you usually lose a planchette unless you're
yeah, this is
careful.
true.
So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. Um,
not going to
I
get battered or anything.
I went when I flew to the States in May, and as I was going through the UK security side, my hand luggage, I had a Ouija board right in the top of my hand luggage, and they always pull it because of all the tech and equipment that's in that bag. They will always pull it for security. So I kind of walked up to security and went, "I'll meet you over there. You're going to pull the bag. I know it. You know it. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'm used to it." And so I kind of walked to the end of the security thing, and he was laughing and joking, and he was like, "So what's in the bag?" And I'm like, "A Ouija board." And he was like, "Yeah, nope." Like, "It's good, you can go."
Bless you. Oh, Andy's got an interesting comment. He says, if some of us are able to be a medium or sensitive, why are we never encouraged as children to develop that path?
So, I mean, that is also a very cultural thing, and it's also a very religious thing. So I look at growing up in South Africa, right? Super, super Christian, super Christian. The
Wow.
whole country is very strong in their faith, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But they do not like anything paranormal or anything to do with mediumship. Like, you do not mention it, especially when I was a child. You know, my mom kept on like, shh, don't tell the kids at school because you know, crazy person. You know, you don't want to get in trouble. And it's very much a cultural thing and a religious thing. You know, it was seen as a sin to communicate with the dead. You know, people will bring up the Bible all the time. Like, oh, you shouldn't seek out mediums and seers.
Yeah.
But the entire damn Bible is prophetic. Anyway, just saying.
And it's
Um,
about a spirit.
yeah. The
The Holy
Father,
Spirit.
the Son, and the
Yeah. Hey.
just saying. Um, so you know, we're not encouraged as children purely because if you come from a religious household and it is seen as against your religion in any way, you know, it's suppressed. Cultural differences, like I say, South Africa as a culture, as a country, is very much against all of that. And it's a superstitious thing as well. South
Yeah.
Africans are exceptionally superstitious people. So growing up in that kind of household, it would be shunned. You know, if you were a kid and you were seeing spirits, it would be, well, there's no such thing as imaginary friends. It's all in your head. There is nothing. It doesn't exist. And it's kind of blanked straight away. Children who remember past lives, it's kind of like, yeah, that's a great story. Oh, that's nice. And it's pushed
Mm.
away, especially because parents don't understand. Whereas in my household, I'm fifth generation. There's a whole lot of crazy. You know, so it was embraced. I
Yeah.
could go to my mom and go, hey, by the way, there's a dead dude walking down the passageway. And she would be like, oh, it's probably a spirit guide. What did it look like?
Mm.
So for me, even though the country that I grew up in, I had to suppress all of that. But in our household, behind closed doors, it was completely open. And it still
Yeah.
is throughout my entire family. We're all a bunch of crazy people.
God bless you. Do you and your mum speak to the same spirit where you are now?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes little things will happen and we pick up on the same stuff. So usually when my dad's around, you'll smell cigarette smoke in the house.
Oh, lovely.
And no one smokes in the house.
Yeah.
So there's no other explanation, but we always associate that with my dad.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll be sitting in the living room and I get this whiff of cigarette smoke and I'm like, oh, dad's here. And my mum walked downstairs and go, do you know, thought I felt your dad around earlier. And I'm like, okay. um,
Oh.
yes, my mom she picks up a lot of family stuff, a lot of
Oh,
family.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's nice though, isn't it, to know that your family are around you
Yes.
as
You know,
well.
we never have to say goodbye. We only have to say goodnight. That's why I do this.
Yeah.
You know, our hope is that we can establish some connection to the other side that is a more permanent connection, some way of knowing that whoever we're having a conversation with is genuinely that person and not someone
Yes.
messing with us, you know? I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? Is
Yeah.
never have to say goodbye to our loved ones. To be able to
That's
pick up a
right.
device that, you know, Thomas Edison was working on back in the 1920s,
Yeah.
the spirit communicator that he was working on, to be able to pick up a device and like a phone and just call the other side and be like, hey, dad, how
Oh,
are you
wow.
doing?
Yeah.
You know, that's, well,
Yeah.
that's for me anyway.
I guess I can do that with cat balls. They
Yeah,
flash, and it's my dad, and I pick up the energy of my dad as well. I
yeah,
kind of get a certain giddiness when he comes through, and
yeah. That's
it's
lovely.
quite sweet, really.
Yeah.
And I can ask a question, and it will flash before I actually finish
Ah,
asking.
that's
So
very cool.
he's really good at working on them. So yeah, it's cute.
Oh, I'm
Um,
loving the questions, by the
so
way.
yeah, they're brilliant, aren't they? You've got one from Anthony. I've got a comment there from him. So Lee had a planchette turning about in a church. Just him on the board after everyone else had removed themselves from it.
Well, that's really
That is
cool.
brilliant. Yeah.
That's very cool. Do you know what? We recently did an investigation, and there were 3 people on the board, each of us finger lightly on the planchette, and it was spinning underneath our fingers. It was really cool. Very, very cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anthony wants to basically thank you
Oh, you're so welcome.
for the response. He's telling a stranger about his guardian angel and the mind-blowing coincidences that continue to reveal themselves around him. Passed away very young, but keeps
Oh
giving
my gosh.
signs. Wow.
His name was Dylan and the entire number plate. That's
That is
awesome. I
brilliant,
mean,
isn't
talk
it?
about signs. You know,
That's
our
fantastic.
our guides give us signs all the time. And you don't have to be, you can be as psychic as a doorknob and they can still get signs through to you in your dreams, in all sorts of things. We just need to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here's an example, and I use this example all the time. I was looking for a new deck of tarot cards, and I was in Salem, Massachusetts. So there's every second shop is a witchy shop.
Cool.
So, with Salem. So I
Awesome.
was walking into one of these shops looking for some tarot cards, and I saw a deck that I really liked, and it was a crystal deck. And so I picked the cards up, and I was walking around with them, and they were designed by a lady named Jade Sky. And I had no idea who this woman was. I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to connect to these cards or what the hell. Like, let's just carry them around. If the energy feels good, I'll buy them. And I was walking through the shop and I thought to myself, all right, spirit guides, listen up. If I am supposed to buy this deck of cards to do readings for people, give me a sign. And I just heard somebody go, stop. And I was like, oh, okay. So I stopped and I heard, look up. And I looked up at the bookshelf in front of me, and there was a book called Signs from Your Spirit Guides by Jade Sky.
My God.
I was like, well, it doesn't get clearer than that.
Wow.
Literally, Signs
My
from Your
God.
Spirit Guides by the same person who designed the cards deck. And I was like, huh.
Gee, that's unreal. So
Ooh.
that's a good one. Who's the most famous person you have sensed on an investigation?
Okay. On an investigation, I'll give you 2 examples. On an investigation, it's Aleister Crowley.
Wow,
And this was
is that at Warwick?
Warwick Castle.
Yay!
Yeah. So Aleister Crowley used to hold seances in the Kenilworth bedroom with Anne, the 4th Countess of Warwick. And Anne was obsessed with communicating with the afterlife. So she would bring in psychic mediums from Birmingham and Coventry and even as far as South Africa. And so they used to hold seances in the Kenilworth bedroom all the time. One of the stories is that a servant in the castle had stolen something and they were going to stash it away and go and retrieve it later on. But they were killed. There was somebody else who was murdered in the castle. Sir Fulk Greville was murdered by a servant in the castle. He was one of the owners of Warwick Castle. So there's a lot of murder and mystery and things. So she was obsessed with trying to figure out what treasure was stolen and where it was hidden. So she was always doing these seances with Aleister Crowley, doing automatic writing. Now, we did Sage Paracon 2 at Warwick Castle, the entire event, and we investigated the castle. And during the investigation, it was Sage Paracon 1, we did just the investigation of the castle. So during the first Sage Paracon, in the investigation, we started getting all of this information come through on the Ouija board in the Kenilworth bedroom. So each group was getting like a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Then Sage Paracon 2 rolls around. We go back to that room. We're getting more information, more information, more information. So I took all of this information. We had the name Edward Jameson. We had another name, Richard, a woman's name, Sarah, the whole story about this treasure that was stolen, etc., etc., etc. I took all the information and I went to Warwick Castle's historian. And I was so excited. And she was like, nope, none of it makes sense. Can't verify any of it. And I was like, well, there goes that idea. So I kept the notes. 2 years later, I get this feeling like, put the news on. You need to watch the news now. So I'm like, oh, that's
Okay.
really weird. Put the TV on, and there's a whole story about Warwick Castle that had found 2 wax sealed envelopes in a box of records that was some of the bills and records and things that was at the
Wow.
Warwick County Records Office. They cracked open these wax seals, and it was the original transcripts from Anne the Fourth Countess's seances with Aleister Crowley,
My
her
God.
automatic writing. And it was all the information that she was getting from spirit. But it was the name, I, Edward Jameson, haunt this castle. Telling the story of the spirit, the servant who had stolen the treasure and hidden it somewhere else and was murdered. We had the name Richard, so did they. We had the name Sarah,
Wow.
so did they. All of our information that we got a century
Oh,
after their seance was identical. And the castle didn't even know that information. So it's not like any of us on the boards could have faked any of that because the
yeah.
castle didn't even know that story.
My gosh.
So that was amazing.
That's fantastic evidence. Yeah.
And I was in Warwick Castle just before the investigation during the day, taking photos of each room, checking where there's any wax figures or anything. And I bent down to take a photo of the sign that says it's the most haunted room in the castle, etc., etc. And when I looked at the photographs, in the window behind me is a full-bodied apparition, and it looks like a man holding a pipe. And Aleister Crowley used to smoke a pipe. So it was very cool. During a psychic reading, I can't tell you who I was reading for. I can tell you she's from a very, very well-known American TV show. Very well-known. And I was doing the reading. I had no idea who I was reading for, by the way. A friend of mine had asked me to do a reading for her boss. I didn't know who her boss was. She had just started this job as a personal assistant in LA. So I didn't know anything about her new job. She just went, can you do a reading? And I went, yeah, let's set it up. It's fine. It's for your boss. I'll do it. And I started doing this reading for this lady. I had no idea who she was. And Kobe Bryant came through, basketball player. So that was, I didn't know who he was, actually.
Right. Okay.
I was like, who's this guy? And everyone was freaking out. And I was like, yeah, some basketball player or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Blimey.
That was very cool.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Okay.
So the Paracon then.
Yes.
Yay.
About the Paracon.
So do you want to tell people about it? How they can get tickets, what's available?
Absolutely. So Sage Paracon is my baby. It's my paranormal convention that I host in England and in America every year. So it is a 4-day event. You can come for 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, or just a day. It's completely up to you. But let's start with the whole what's going on for 4 days at Coombe Abbey. Thursday, we have a paranormal investigation of Coombe Abbey, which is amazing.
It is.
I love that place, and it's so active.
Yeah.
So we split into groups, and we have the speakers situated in 6 different areas of Coombe Abbey. So you get to investigate with each of our speakers, and they get to pass on some of their knowledge. For instance, Karen has been using a Ouija board for over 50 years. That woman is like the Ouija board goddess, and she gets to teach you really cool experiments and things and how to use boards properly.
Yeah, so she taught me.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, because I'd sit there with my finger on the board. It's not moving.
Right?
Yeah, so you're that tense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot of little things
me.
that people don't know. So you get to learn these really cool investigation techniques. Our job as speakers at the event is to teach you as much as we possibly can for you to use on your investigations. And we learn from you guys too, So yeah, Karen will be there again, helping everyone get going with the Ouija board. We'll do EVP sessions, because that's my thing. I do EVP.
Yeah.
We'll do spirit communication with spirit boxes and ITC stuff. We're going to do loads of different experiments. Okay? So that's Thursday night. We investigate from 7 p.m. till 3 a.m. It's a long one.
Wow. Awesome.
Then on Friday night, we have our VIP dinner. It is a 3-course sit-down meal, but the theme is Ghostly Great Gatsby. So 1920s Prohibition speakeasy. Everybody's getting dressed up. And we have a full speakeasy ghostly theatre production that happens all the way around us. We've changed it. It's
Oh,
not a medieval
wow.
banquet. Now, the whole theme is that Lady Craven, the owner of Coombe Abbey, is bored, and it's the 1920s, and she wants a party. So she calls all of her friends from London to come and throw a massive party, but it's prohibition. So we have to watch out for the police raiding and really cool things. There's going to be a really cool
Yay.
theater production that happens while you have your dinner. It's super fun. We get dressed up, we sing songs, we drink beer, we drink wine. Who knows where the rest of the evening goes? There might be some beer pong or something involved. And then Saturday all day, we have fantastic speakers. We then have a VIP party on Saturday night, and the theme is horror movie night. So you can come dressed as anything from a horror movie, anything at all. You can be a victim, you can be the killer, you can whatever the hell you can be a ghost, whatever. As long as you are a horror themed outfit, we have prizes for best dressed. We have karaoke, aka
Yay.
stereoke.
Cool.
We have it's one hell of a party. Like
It
the parties
is.
are legendary.
Oh, God, yeah. They
And
are
then
amazing. And
they are
Karen's
really
brilliant
good.
at the parties as well.
I mean, listen, if there's one thing I know how to do is throw a party.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah,
And
the
then
medieval one that time was crazy. And then,
yes.
yeah.
And then we had the
Oh,
party afterwards as well. We had the Voodoo and the Bayou Bash the
yeah,
last time.
that was cool, yeah.
That was cool.
With Bloody Mary as well, doing the
Yeah.
sort of
Voodoo
opening sort of
Queen.
ritual. Yeah.
Yep.
That was awesome.
We opened it with a voodoo ritual the last time.
Yeah.
We do have something very special that we're doing to open this year's Sage Paracon party.
Ooh.
It's a surprise. So, yes, you're going to have to be there to see it. And then Sunday all day we have talks again. And then Sunday night we kind of all chill out and hang out and have a drink and, talk about everything. Yeah. It's great. You know what? It's fantastic. So let's talk about the speakers. I want to introduce you to our Sage Paracon speakers. I got to remember everybody now. Okay. So the lovely Karen A. Dullman will be teaching you everything to do with connecting with your higher self and spirit guides and all those lovely Ouija things. Then we have Richard Estep, who is going to be talking to you about persistent evil, serial killer spirits.
Wow.
From his investigations, any of the serial killers that he has dealt with. Then we have John Kozik. John is one of the directors of the Talking Board Historical Society. So is Karen Delman, by the way. So if you don't know who the Talking Board Historical Society are, please go check them out. Go to tbhs.org and you'll find out all the information. They are amazing. And we then have John talking about the Ouija board and some like cool stories and things to do with like Ouija murders and all sorts of cool stuff. Then we have who have we got next? Corinne Gretton West. Corinne is known as the paranormal photographer. So she's going to do a talk about photography within your paranormal investigation. Because there's so many people that still take photos of dust and orbs and see grandma's face in dust. So it is a little bit more about, how cameras reflect light and that sort of thing. And just the history of paranormal photography, spirit photography. People have been doing it since Mary Lincoln had that photo taken with, Abraham Lincoln behind her. That was all double exposure and whatnot. So she's got a very cool talk about that. Then we have Greg Lawson. Greg Lawson is the paranormal detective. He is actually in law enforcement. He is a detective. He's been in law enforcement for decades. And He is going to be teaching us some more about, cold case techniques and how to
Brilliant.
explore all things paranormal from the perspective of a detective, basically. Yeah, he has some really, really cool ways of looking at things that you would never expect. And, how to evaluate evidence is not always what you think. He has some really good stories to tell. He's a phenomenal storyteller and author. Highly recommend his talk as well. Who else we got? We have Russell Edwards. Russell Edwards is a wonderful, wonderful man who has dedicated years of his life to naming Jack the Ripper.
Wow.
Now, he is one of the very few people who actually own a shawl that was owned by one of Jack the Ripper's victims.
My God.
He took that shawl and did DNA testing, and through DNA, he is able to identify both victim and killer. So he has cracked the case of Jack the Ripper
Oh,
using
awesome.
DNA. And he's going to tell you guys all about how he did it and his whole journey. And it's the most phenomenal story. He is also an author. He has a book out called Naming Jack the Ripper, which is very, very cool. So you can check that out. Then, my gosh, Nikki Folsom. Nikki Folsom is just the sweetest person you've ever met in your entire life. She's a big ball of energy, much like Karen Dolman. And which is going to be bad because now it's like energy times 2.
And shit.
And shit. So Nikki is an author. She has been investigating the paranormal and researching it for several years. She's just written her second book called Conflicted Reality, which she is going to be talking to us about. And it also includes things like fairies and elementals. It's a very different side of the paranormal that we very rarely touch on. I'm getting tongue-tied. Who else? Jeff Belanger. Oh my gosh. Of course. The one and only. I love Jeff so much. Jeff Belanger, if you don't know who he is the writer and researcher for Ghost Adventures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yes.
I didn't.
Didn't you know that?
No.
Oh, Jeff, yeah. Jeff has worked on all 18 seasons of Ghost Adventures. He is one of their main researchers and writers. And he also has a podcast, award-winning podcast called New England Podcast. We call him Beetle Jeff because if you say his name 3 times, he sometimes just randomly appears.
Try that for a few drinks.
Beetle Jeff. So, yeah, Jeff is going to be talking to us about the devil, the history of the devil and demons.
Interesting.
It's a very controversial talk, but it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. He did a talk about the devil in New England, and this is kind of like a follow-on from that. So it's going to be quite interesting. Oh my goodness, who else do we have? Who am I missing? Richard? No, I said Richard.
He didn't. I don't think he did mention Richard. Did he?
Yes, Serial Killer Spirits. So
Richard,
Karen Dolman, Greg Lawson, Jeff Belanger. Oh, of course, we have Janet O'Carroll. She's from England, and she is a wonderful psychic medium. She's just sweet as pie as well. Mad as a box of frogs. I'll let you know now. She's batshit crazy, but I love her. And she's going to be doing psychic games. So she's going to be teaching us some really cool experiments and games that help us enhance our psychic abilities.
That's cool.
Yes. So it's like Psychic Olympics, basically.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. And then we have Jessica Potter.
Yeah.
Jessica is the mermaid medium. She is a phenomenal medium. And she is actually going to be doing a psychic demonstration for us. So she is going to do a full mediumship. Yeah. Like demonstration. What do you guys call it? Gallery reading? Do you call it?
Demonstration. Podium. Like on a podium giving readings or.
Yes. Yeah. She's going to be giving readings.
Yeah.
Who else? Sagers isn't coming anymore, Karen. Unfortunately, Aaron Sagers had to cancel this year. Boo. Yes. So, oh my goodness. Who else? Karen, Jeff, Greg, Richard, Jessica, Nikki, me, Corin, Russell. I'm missing people. Who am I missing?
I'm looking.
I can't. This is awful. My brain is like,
Well,
what?
there's so many guests.
I'm
All
pretty sure I
awesome.
said everybody.
Um,
Carl will be there, but Carl's not doing a talk. Oh, myself and Richard Estep are actually going to do a talk together as well.
oh,
So
cool.
we are going to do a talk about our psychic remote viewing experiments, and we've got some video and photos and things to show you guys as well. Do you know what? I'm pretty sure I've mentioned everybody. Who am I?
You have.
I
Yes,
have.
you have.
I have.
Yes. Well done. 10 out of 10. You
Well,
did it. You did it.
especially
I'm just checking.
so many
Yeah.
people. I've got so much on my plate at the moment. I can't
Oh,
remember.
bless you.
So, guys, it is a very full-on weekend, right? There's talks, there's vendors. So all the speakers are going to be selling their books, their t-shirts, I'm going to have my Sage Witchwork stuff there as well. There's photography booths, there's crazy karaoke, there's mad outfits and costumes, and there'll be popcorn, there'll be drinks,
Oh,
it
popcorn.
is fun. So come and hang out with us. You can get tickets for the day. It's £65 for Sunday. £85 for Saturday, which includes the VIP party. Or you can come Saturday and Sunday for £150. Or you can join us for 3 nights and do the VIP dinner, or you can join us for 4 nights and do the investigation, the dinner, and the weekend.
Yay. Can't wait.
It's fun. And it's a really nice energy as well. So
yeah, the people are so lovely. Like, everyone
everybody's
wants to
lovely.
be there, and yeah, it is nice.
Everybody, every year we have people that always go, each and every year, people go, oh, I don't know anyone and I've got no one to go with. And I tell them, come on your own, because the Sage Tribe are so welcoming and they're so lovely. Just the nicest people. I mean, some of these people have been coming since 2016 every year, right? It's like one big family. And for all new people, you are welcomed into that family straight away. We love having new people. And it's a really cool vibe. Come on your own. If you don't have anyone to be there with, let me know that you're coming on your own. And trust me, you will have an entire tribe of friends by the end of the day. That I can guarantee.
I'm on my own.
But you came on your own first year.
Not quite. I did on the second year. Yeah. On the second year I did.
Yeah, you came on your own.
Yeah.
So
But that's cool.
we have people who just didn't know anyone at all, and they turned up, and now they're really good friends with all of us. And we don't do this whole, what I hate about conventions, this whole thing of, oh, the speakers are over there because obviously they're talking, they must be better than everybody else. Bullshit. We're all learning from each other, and we all hang out and have a beer and talk about all things paranormal, and so come join us. It'd be fun.
Yeah, it's just awesome. It really is. I've been really looking forward to it. And, like, everyone on Facebook, like, Facebook feeds are like brightening up all of a sudden. Like, hey,
I know this whole week is just going to be like,
everyone's sorting out the fancy dress.
Yes,
it's cool, isn't it?
I'm really excited about my horror outfit.
Oh my gosh, I've just gone a bit.
I could just go as the woman from The Ring, but because like let's face it, we're pretty much there. my curtain.
Oh, Andy says thanks for answering all the questions.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for asking questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we've had some great questions tonight.
Yes,
but
thank you, everybody. Guys, if you want to know more about what we do as Sage, you can check us out on online, sageparanormal.co.uk, or check out Sage Paracon. We do it in the UK and the States. So if you're in America, happy 4th of July. Hope you have a great Independence Day. And come and check us out at Belgrove Plantation in Virginia in the end of September next year. We're doing it there.
Wow.
And then come and, hang out with us at one of our events, one of the talks. We do online events as well. Great big ringer. Thanks, Lee. I mean, I usually get the da-da-da-dun, but, come hang out with us at Belgrove Plantation next year.
Oh,
I
bless
am
you.
going to be at Belgrove Plantation this Halloween. So if you guys are in
Awesome.
the States and you want to come and hang out and investigate at Belgrove Plantation with me, tickets are available at belgroveplantation.com. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Or you can, if you want to know TV stuff, because, I do that stuff, you can head to mjdixon.com and you can find out everything that I do.
I'm trying to type it all in for you. I'm
Sorry.
that's all right.
I mean, you can find me on Facebook,
MJ.
MJ Dixon, or Sage Paranormal, Sage Paracon, any of that stuff.
Yeah, or just look up Sage on Facebook. It's a lot easier, isn't it? Than me
Hashtag
trying to
and
type it all
shit.
in and not spelling it right or something like that. I thought, yeah, thanks so much, MJ. It's
Thank you so
awesome.
much. This was awesome.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for all the amazing questions.
Thanks,
Thanks for
guys.
watching. And
See?
I hope to see some of you at Sage.
Yes.
It's
Come
going to
hang
be
out with
bloody
us.
awesome. Yeah.
Have a beer with me. It'd be great. We'll talk about paranormal all night. It's cool.
Oh no. Talking about paranormal all night?
I
Yes.
mean,
And shit.
and shit.
Take care, everyone. Thank
Take care.
you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.